Good afternoon, everyone. This is I Work at NCVPS Speaker Series, April the 9th at 2 p.m. And we're glad to have College Foundation of North Carolina Representative Timeka Ruffin with us today. So Ms. Ruffin, go ahead.
Thank you, Kim, and welcome to everybody that's here. I'm going to stop the video just so you'll know when I start talking and doing this, so you won't see my face anymore. But we're going to talk, of course, about paying for college and just kind of getting this whole process started. If you have questions, definitely kind of put something either in the chat or I'll pause. I don't know if we'll be able to get everyone's audio or if you'll be able to unmute yourselves or not, but we can definitely ask questions through the chat so you can be able to see what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this paying for college. This is one of those things, especially right now, it's probably bringing a lot of anxiety to a lot of people is how you're going to pay for college. And just with everything happening too, just understanding how the process may be different, if at all, than it was before. So we'll just to kind of, I always like to start out with the fact that we do want to make sure that you at least understand kind of what colleges bill you for and what they don't. What colleges are basically going to bill you for will be, of course, will be the classes, which will be the tuition and fees. And then they're also going to bill you for room and meals. So if you were to live on campus, you would get a bill for either for the tuition fees, room and meals, or you get it for just the tuition and fees. And the colleges typically bill students twice a year. So you kind of just to get an idea, however much it costs to go to a school, let's say you go look up a school and it says it costs this much to go there for the year, it would be cut in half. So whatever, when they send you a bill, it would be half of whatever they say it costs to go there for a year. But the main things you want to pay attention to is how much the tuition and fees, the room and the meals are. The things I do tell people, the only thing you can really make adjustments to are going to be the room costs. So they're going to have different options if you were to live on a college campus as far as where you can stay. And so as you're looking even online, looking at schools and how much they cost, you definitely want to pay attention to the different room costs because some of them may have suites where you have your own room and everybody shares like the common living area, or you're living like in a dorm, or you're living in an apartment style. So they have different options. And that's really going to determine a lot of times how much you're paying for room. But that's really the only thing you can make a major adjustment to. They do allow students to make adjustments to their meal plans as they become sophomores or juniors. So the first, year or two, they usually require, especially freshmen, to have a meal plan that would cover breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you can't really adjust it the first year. But sophomore, junior, senior years, you can also start adjusting your meal plan. So if you see that you only eat lunch or you only eat dinner, you can just purchase those type of plans, and that can kind of cut how much you would have to pay to the school. But those things on the left would be what you're actually going to get a bill for. And the things on the right are not going to be things that the school is going to send you a bill and say you have to pay it by this time, but they are expecting you to have these items. So for books and supplies, students do have to purchase whatever books they need for class. And on average, students probably spend about $500 to $800 a semester for their books. It really depends on their major and how much they have to have for the classes that they need to take. That's kind of the average cost for books. There's different ways to cut costs for books. So the college is actually going to sell, of course, books that you need. A lot of students do try the option to rent textbooks because they give you the option to do that now. So you don't have to actually buy the book. You can rent it for that semester. Some schools are a little bit more high tech and they will let you rent them for a couple of days or a week. So that would be an option to be able to save money on some of the books, just to seeing what your options are to rent or to purchase the books. And a lot of students honestly go online and try to find books cheaper. So they'll go to Amazon or wherever they can and try to find those books cheaper. So you can do that too as a way to try to cut costs with the books. With transportation, right now, it's not a huge issue, obviously, because nobody's on campus, but it's usually students are able to, of course, go to campus and drive on campus. And then they have to purchase a parking permit. Parking permits now probably cost about $400 to $500 a year. So if a student brings their car and they're actually parking on campus, they do have to purchase a parking permit. And this is for all the four-year schools. Community colleges do have parking permits also, but they definitely are much cheaper than what they are at the four-year school. And obviously you just want to know too what the public transportation options are. A lot of schools now have their own kind of transit systems. So if a student doesn't have a car, they have their own kind of bus line that takes them to different places in the town or the city. So you want to kind of ask them what transportation options you have. If we don't bring a car, how can we get around, and how much would that cost? And if a school has their own transit system, they can actually just kind of give you a yearly fee to use it, and you can actually just have it added to your bill. So when you get your bill, it would have whatever their transit system is on there. And then the other expense would be like personal and miscellaneous expenses. These are all the things that right now you kind of share at home, whether or not they're bathroom stuff, laundry items. This would only be for people who live on campus. So, you know, this would be like all the everyday stuff. I always just tell people the only thing the college is going to provide is a bed and a dresser. Everything else you have to bring with you. So these will be things that you would have to think about purchasing while you're enrolled in school. All the four-year colleges, if you live on a college campus, they're going to ask for proof of health insurance. So you would want to just be able to show that if you're going to live on a college campus, especially a four-year college campus. If you're not living on a four-year college campus, you do not have to show proof of health insurance. But if you live on a four-year college campus, they want to make sure that you're covered. So in case something happened, that they would be able to easily take care of you. So that's something that the four-year schools do ask for, is proof of health insurance. If you don't have that, then the college will just charge you for their school's health insurance. And then they'll just add that to the bill if that's necessary. So what you're looking at again is just the stuff on the left is top priority. That's the stuff that you want to make sure that you have covered, because that's what they'll send you a bill for. The stuff on the right are going to be things that you have to have, but they're not necessarily going to bill you for them. So just understanding what those costs are. This is why a lot of students do try to take as many classes as they can at the community college, even if they need a four-year degree. They're trying to find as many classes as they can at their local community college that can transfer to a four-year school. So there are lots of classes now, especially depending on what area you live in. A lot of the community colleges do offer a lot of courses that are much cheaper. So let's say like one class at the community college is probably about $150 to $200. That same class at a four-year school may cost $800 to $1,000. So a lot of students would try to, once they figure out what classes they need for their major or their program, they'll try to see if they can find those classes at the community college just to try to help cut costs for that. So you want to kind of continue to use them as much as you can throughout the process, again, especially if you're working on a four-year degree, just to see if there are ways to save money by using the community college as an option. I always like to make sure that everybody's just aware that North Carolina does have a program called We Promise. And this program is basically just to let you know that there are some schools that do have a lock-in tuition. So right now there's two parts of it. One part of the promise says that all of our state schools are going to lock in your tuition. So let's say you start at a state school and it costs a certain amount to go there for the year, your freshman year or your first year there. They're promised to lock that amount in for 4 years. So that means that your tuition amount wouldn't change for up to 4 years. They give you 4 years to complete your degree. And then as long as you complete it within that 4 years, your tuition will never change. But let's say it takes you 5 years or 6 years to complete that degree, then they will increase it to whatever it should have increased to over those years that you've been there. So they kind of give you a lock-in tuition for 4 years. The other part of it is that there are certain schools that have a very low tuition. So there's 3 schools in North Carolina that agree that they would lock in their tuition at $500. So most tuition at certain schools can be anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 at some of the public four-year schools. And then at some of the private schools, the tuition can be from $35,000 to up to $50,000 a year. But there are 3 schools in North Carolina that say that we'll lock in your tuition for $500 per semester, meaning that if you're a full-time student, you pay $500 a semester, which is $1,000 a year. And we have 3 schools that are a part of that, colleges that are a part of that, and they are Western Carolina, UNC Pembroke, and Elizabeth City State University. So again, Western Carolina, UNC Pembroke, and Elizabeth City State currently have the lowest tuitions in the state. And they, again, will give you the $500 tuition. You still have to pay for room and board, but the tuition will be set at that price. If you want to learn more about We Promise, you can always just go to, there's a URL at the bottom that says affordableeducation.org. and it takes you to sort of the We Promise breakdown page to kind of give you, you know, the information as what's on it. But I do want to kind of make you aware of that as you're looking at ways to save money and kind of what colleges are the most affordable or have the lowest tuition. So that's an option for you to be able to do that. And then I always tell people, if you want to continue to get, let's say you get your degree online, that you want to continue to try to do that, we recommend that you try to find some colleges that are in your state first before you start looking at some of the national colleges. The reason why we say it's because the tuition is going to be a lot lower at, let's say, a state institution than it would be at a school that you may hear about. I don't even want to call a school's name, but let's say a school that you saw a commercial about online for some type of online learning degree. You do want to try to check out some of your state schools first, because they do have some programs where you can get the degree completely online, or a majority of your degree, your classes can be taken online. And so be sure that you check that out. On CFNC's website, we do have a way that you can find what colleges offer online. So if you go to cfnc.org, there's a college search area. And under that area, you can find what colleges have online degree programs. So that's just kind of let you know, again, if you just want to continue to try to get your entire degree online, try to go to some of your state schools first before you go to a national model type online school, because they're going to be a lot more expensive than your state schools will be. And something that they started new for the state of North Carolina. So for students who are actually getting ready to start their degree, I don't know how many students have already done this, but they do require that students, their last year of high school, their last year before they start at a four-year school, they do have to apply for residency in our state. And so whatever that last year is that you're planning to kind of finish up the high school degree or to start on a degree in general, you have to apply for residency. And this is the website that you go to apply for. It's ncresidency.org. The earliest that they let you do this, so that if you have a couple of more years before you're going to actually start working on your college degree, you don't have to worry about doing the residency thing right now. You can do it 15 months prior to you actually starting college. So starting your four-year degree. But once you do that, you'll go to this website and they'll actually give you a residency number, so that any of the colleges, they'll already know to charge you in-state tuition. It used to be where colleges would make their own decision on whether or not you were in-state or out-of-state. Now they require, if you're a North Carolina resident, you have to apply for residency. And they'll give you a residency number, and then you give that number to a college. And that college knows not to charge you out-of-state tuition. And that's the website that you go to. You can actually go to it now if you still have time, you know, just to kind of play around with it if you've never seen it before. They do have some frequently asked questions that people ask about the residency, so you'll be able to see that there. This is what it will look like when you go to the residency site. So I want you to be able to see that you just kind of either create a username and password, or if you already have one, you put it there. If you've ever been on CFNC's website before, so if you've ever been to cfnc.org before, and you created a username and password, that's also going to be your password for this. You don't have to create a new one if you already have been on the cfnc.org website. So if you're not familiar with CFNC, it's pretty much just a college prep website. So if you haven't been there, I encourage you to go there and create an account. And then once you come to do this residency, you'll already have a username and password for this. But this is just to show you what it looks like. They do have an appeal process for this, because there are obviously maybe students who answered a question incorrectly or just didn't answer it correctly. And so they let you know that you're going to be out of state, and you're like, no, I've been in North Carolina my whole life, or I've been here for so many years. There's no way I can be out of state. They do give you the option to appeal the decision at least 3 times. So you'll have the option to do that if it comes up that you are out of state and you're thinking that, no, I should be considered in state, or if you just want to appeal your decision in general. The reason why I wanted to show you about the residency part is because residency does make sure that you get in-state tuition, but it also guarantees that you're being considered for money through the state of North Carolina for college. So if you go through this residency website, and they say that you are a resident of North Carolina, when you apply for money to go to a North Carolina college, they will consider you for money through the state of North Carolina. If it says that you are not a resident of North Carolina, then they will not consider you for money through the state of North Carolina. So that's really the other purpose of that residency form. And why I have it in here, because if students don't complete it, you're not going to be considered for money through the state of North Carolina to help you pay for college. And so that's why that's an important part or step in all of this. So one of the other things that I wanted to kind of make sure that you guys are doing and kind of getting prepared for the process is just to kind of do your own kind of scholarship searches. This really right now is probably the best time to do searches because there's nothing else going on. There's nothing else you have to do. This gives you a good opportunity to look for scholarships. If this is your last year and you're thinking about starting college in the fall, or you're going to be starting college in the fall, it's still not too late. There are still some scholarships out there that you can apply for, but these are the top 4 places we like to tell people to go look. The local stuff usually goes to the local high schools. So let's say that you are not enrolled in a traditional high school. Let's say whatever the public high schools are in your area. I would still go to those high schools' websites to see what kind of scholarship information they're giving out to their seniors. Local scholarships are going to be given out by small businesses, small organizations. So if I'm a small business or small organization, I may not know to send it to any other place, but I'm definitely going to send it to my local high schools because I know that there are students there that can apply. And this is why I like to tell students who may not be in a traditional high school to still visit a traditional high school's website. You can go to their student services page or their high school counselor page. That's typically where they give their seniors scholarship information about local scholarships that have come to their school. So I definitely recommend that you at least visit one of those schools' websites or all of those schools' websites in your county or area where you live, just to make sure you're getting any kind of local scholarship information that is being sent to the local high schools. The other part of it is going to be for North Carolina scholarships. So if you're planning to go to a college or university in North Carolina, again, I'm going to recommend you go to the CFNC.org website because that's where all of the state-sponsored scholarships would be. So that means that one of the requirements of the scholarships would be you have to use them at a college or university in North Carolina. If you're thinking about going and taking classes at a school in North Carolina, then CFNC would be a good place to go because we're going to have all of the state-sponsored scholarships. So those are going to be the ones, again, that have to be used in state. All the colleges also offer scholarships. So I always tell people, whatever college, every college you're thinking about going to, you want to go to that college's website and go under their financial aid page. That's typically where their scholarship information is. So I'll go to any college's website, go under their financial aid page, and that's where you'll find scholarship information. Community colleges do scholarships as well, so it's not just the 4-year schools. So if you are thinking about going to community college to either finish up a degree or to get a degree or to do whatever it is you need to do there, they also offer scholarships. So visit whatever college that you're trying to go to, visit their financial aid page to find out more information about their school scholarships. And then national scholarships are going to be scholarships that you can use anywhere. So it could be scholarships that are just out there that people say, where are these scholarships that people tell us to look for? These are some places we like to tell people to go. Scholarships.com is a good website, and that's really one of the reasons why I have them up here. It's because you can apply to multiple scholarships through their site. They also have an app that students can download and look for scholarships through there, and it's free to download. College Board is going to be a good website because they, again, give out just general scholarship information. FastWeb is another one that's popular among a lot of students because you pretty much just create a profile and they send you scholarships based off of your profile. So if you put down that you plan to major in nursing, they'll send you scholarships that are for nursing students. So the FastWeb kind of does it by profile. And then what you can use a lot of time doing right now is just doing simple Google searches. So I would go to Google and you can type in scholarships. It'll probably bring you 1 million hits. So I'll probably be a little bit more general, but you can type in, if you know your major, let's say I was thinking about engineering, I could type in engineering scholarships. If they exist, Google will pull them up for you. So any scholarship that has engineering as a part of the requirement for it, it's going to come up with that. You can be a little bit more specific if you're female or male. You could put in, let's say you could put in female engineering scholarship. or if you do it by race, you could do it by, do searches by anything that's kind of general or unique to you. The only thing I do tell people not to do is never pay for scholarship information. So all scholarship applications are free. You should never have to pay for one. So if you get to a website and they say send us money, it's some type of scam. So never pay for a scholarship application. They're all going to be free if it's a genuine scholarship. And then so the other thing you want to know when you're doing Google searches is just think about anything that has any type of major name to it. So when I'm on Google, I'll think about, or I wonder if any kind of store or any kind of brand name offers some type of scholarship. So I might type in Target scholarship. If Target offers a scholarship, it's going to take me directly to their scholarship page because I typed in Target scholarship. Most major places that you shop, most major places where you would eat, most major grocery stores, most major brands offer some type of scholarship. So just think about brand names, type in the name of that brand, scholarship afterwards, and if they offer a scholarship, it'll take you to their scholarship page. But this again would be the best time to do that because most students, when it's on a normal schedule, they just don't have time to kind of sit down and do searches, or they don't make time to do it. Right now you have a lot of time where you can just do so many Google searches on different types of scholarships because that's where all of them are. There's not one website that's going to give you every scholarship in the world. So most people piece them together. So they find different websites where they're able to look for scholarship information. So use this time right now to take advantage of that. If you still have a couple of years to apply for it, because there will be scholarships that will say it's just for a high school senior only, so your last year of school only, to be able to apply for it. If you find that before that time period, save it to your favorites, start an Excel spreadsheet, put the name of the scholarship, the website you found it on, and the date you can start applying for it your last year. But you want to try to at least keep in mind because most of them will say that. If you're not a senior though, you can type in whatever you want to. You can put in, junior high school scholarships just to see what's out there. You can put in adult student scholarships. If you are past high school, you can just kind of do any kind of searches that you want to when it comes to doing Google searches. People make it harder than what it is, but it's really easy to search for scholarships. And they'll tell you the requirements for them pretty much up front once you find a website that you like. So after you kind of do your own sort of scholarship searches, these are going to be the two main forms that we make sure families get done for colleges. The main one is going to be the FAFSA application. So the free application for federal student aid is what it's the technical name for it, but we call it the FAFSA for short. And this is the main website that everybody needs to do. If they want to get some money from a college, this is the application. The website that you can go to, they have two different websites because they're trying to merge the sites. So right now there's two different sites you could go to that will take you to the same place. So either one of these up here, the main one, FAFSA.gov, is the one that's probably the easiest to remember. FAFSA.gov, you go to the website and you can apply for financial aid for college. The earliest that they let you do this would be the year before you're about to start. So let's say that I am a junior right now, but I'm going to be a senior in the fall. Then when I start doing this application would be in October. October the 1st is when it opens every year. So the earliest that they will let me actually do an application for college, if I'm going to be a senior starting in August, will be October the 1st. And they open it up every year. So you'll go to the website and then you fill out the application. They'll ask you what colleges do you want to have it sent to. So that's how all the colleges get it. So they let you send it to up to 10 different colleges. You don't have to have been admitted to any of those colleges. You can put down every college you're thinking about applying to. You might apply to whatever those colleges are, and then they'll send a copy of this application to all of those colleges. If you get admitted there, they'll process your financial aid. If you don't even apply to the school, and they just won't process it. But at least you will have sent it to them just in case you're thinking about a particular college. It has to be renewed every year. So when you go in to do it the first time, that's just for the first year of college. You have to renew it every October 1st in order to be able to get aid there every year. So it's something that has to be renewed each year that the student is in college. They do have an app for it now, which has made a lot easier for students. The app is called My Student Aid. And so you can go to your app store on your phone and then just look up My Student Aid. It is a free app to download, and you can actually complete this form completely on your phone through the app. And again, the app is called My Student Aid. So that's one of the forms you definitely want to get done. Some students have to do the second form, but not many students have to do this one. I'm just mentioning that because there are some students that will need to do 2 financial forms for colleges. Most colleges just want that FAFSA, but there are some colleges that say that we actually want you to fill out this second financial form because we want to see what other information that was not asked on the FAFSA. We only have 5 schools in North Carolina, so I give you an example of how not all schools have it. We only have 5 colleges in North Carolina. We have over 110 colleges in North Carolina. Only 5 of them ask for this second form. So I'll name for you the 5 colleges in our state that ask for them, so you can kind of get an idea. But in North Carolina, we have Duke, Wake Forest, Elon, Davidson, and UNC Chapel Hill. Students that go to those 5 colleges, the colleges want them to fill out the FAFSA and they want them to do this CSS profile. If you want to know whether or not, let's say you're thinking about an out-of-state college and you want to know whether or not they would ask for the second form, you can just go to this College Board website that's at the bottom of the name of it, so collegeboard.org, and you can look for CSS profile, and it'll have all the colleges in the country that would want this. This is just kind of like a supplemental form that some colleges want. The FAFSA form is free. This second form, if you do have to do it for a college, it does cost about $25 to do. And depending on how many colleges you have to have it sent to, they may charge you a little bit more. However, they do have a waiver, so that you can have an option to say, I want to see if I qualify for a waiver. And you can kind of put in your information and they'll let you know if you qualify for a waiver. So you don't even have to pay that amount that they're asking you to pay. But this is the form that you'll need to do. It also opens up October 1st every year. So if I was a student that had to do both of these, I just do them at one time. So because they're going to ask very similar questions. So I would do them at once. But again, not all colleges are going to ask for it, just certain schools. And you can go to the colleges' websites too, and they'll have it on their financial aid page if they also want the CSS profile. So this is just to show you what the FAFSA website looks like. So if you've never seen it before, you can play around with it. Even if you have a year or 2 before you actually have to do it, you can go to the site and just kind of see what it looks like. They do have a practice form on there, so you could do like a practice FAFSA just to see what kind of questions they would ask. But this is what it looks like when you go to the site, and then you'll see the arrow just says click start here, and then you start answering the questions. Most students cannot fill it out by themselves if they're under 24 years old. So they do have some questions though that they ask. So they'll say, if you're under 24, do you meet can you answer yes to any of these questions? So they'll ask you a series of questions. If you can answer yes to one of those questions, they'll let you as a student do it by yourself without a parent. But if you're under 24 and you answer no to all the questions that they ask you on the form, then you have to put parent information on here too. So that's kind of like the general rule. 24 or younger, typically you have to have parent information on here when you fill it out. So just so you'll know how that will work once you get there. But they will ask you some questions to see if you are don't have to do that. So just to kind of give you this, I'm not really going to go through the whole income section because it can be a little bit more detailed, but I do want to let you know on these financial forms, they're going to ask you for income information. So if a parent's information, again, if I'm under 24 and I have to have my parent information, they're going to ask me about my parent's income. And so when I do this form, that what they're basically asking parents for is their income for the prior year. So if I was a student that was starting school in August, like let's say I'm going to be a senior in August, and I have to fill out my FAFSA on October 1st, they're going to be asking my parents about the information for 2019. So I know what a lot of people are asking about now, like with currently what's going on, like my income in 2019 is not what it was right now or has changed a lot. Something that all the colleges have is that they have financial change forms. They've always had this, so this is nothing new. but now even more so, there's going to be a lot more people using those. You will have to contact the financial aid office, but they will be able to let you know how you can download a special form where they'll have families to explain how your income has changed since the last year that you filled out your taxes. So you will have this option. All the colleges are going to have it, make it available for people to be able to do. It will depend on the college, kind of what their procedure is, but just know that when you fill out the form, you'll have to fill out the form as is, whatever your income was for the prior year. And then with the individual college, you'll fill out a special circumstances form that explains how it has changed. And so all the colleges will have their own procedure, and you'll be able to kind of find out from them what they exactly want from you. But just know you'll have the opportunity to let them know if your income has changed. So don't worry too much about that portion. They definitely are keeping that in mind, and it's an ongoing conversation about how they're going to look at families whose income has drastically changed since last year. So just to let you know, they will have that on there. This is what you're actually applying for. So I just want you to be able to see what you're actually applying for, so you'll know with the financial forms why you're doing them. You're doing them for federal money, obviously. You're also doing them for the state money, which I mentioned this is the money that North Carolina offers. And then you're also doing it through that institution. So just so you'll be able to see what you're actually applying for. This is currently what the funds are. I can imagine that the funds will look a little bit different depending on what the federal government does as far as providing more funding for colleges after this with COVID-19, just to see what it will look like. But this is what the current funds are that they're considering students for college. And so when you fill out the FAFSA, you are applying for this money. So you don't have to do anything separate. You are applying for this money. So I just wanted you to be able to see what that is. They're also going to allow students to be able to take out loans, of course. Loans are going to be a part of the process when it comes to going to college just because of the cost of it. So families will be given the option for students to be able to borrow money to help pay for college. And these are currently what the limits are for students. So they allow students the first year of college to borrow $5,500. Their second year of college, they can borrow up to $6,500. And their junior and senior years, they can borrow up to $7,500. So again, these are currently what the limits are for students that are working on their first degree. And so if you have questions about those, the colleges will definitely be able to kind of tell you what paperwork needs to be done if your student accepts it. But these are the amounts that they will consider students for as far as how much they can borrow. You notice that there is a limit on how much students can borrow. So students aren't able to just say, well, my bill says I owe $8,000. I want to take out a student loan for $8,000. The student can only take out up to the amount that they're able to for their grade level. Now, if a student needs additional loan money, though, they will offer loans to parents. So they will allow parents to be able to take out a certain amount in loan money to make up the difference of what a student may not have been able to borrow in a loan in their name. So they will also give parents the option to take out student loans, take out a loan as well. Parents have to go through a credit check process. Students don't have to do that. But if a parent says, I do want to try to apply for a loan to help my student with the process, you do have to go through a credit check process. And you could be approved or denied for a parent loan, but student loans are pretty much always approved as long as the student has never had a student loan before, is in good standing with that. So that's the option they'll give students for loans. And after you fill out the FAFSA, I just want you to be able to see this is like a sample of what an award letter looks like, which is why we try to encourage students to always fill out the FAFSA form or whatever financial form a college has, because you're doing it so that the college can say, this is how much money we can give you to come here. And then you can make a decision after that if it's going to be enough or not. So this is a student who filled out the FAFSA, and it's just showing you what the school has offered them based off of that. So you'll see over here, most of the awards are going to be online options, so they're probably not going to send you a letter through the mail. After you submit the FAFSA and you've been admitted, they'll give you like a login to their college's website, and you'll log on and be able to see your award. This student was offered some grant money, so they were offered some federal grant money and some state grant money. But I just want you to know, whenever you start getting those offers, just pay attention to what says grant and what says loan, right? The grant money is free. You don't have to worry about paying that back. But if that student was to also take out that loan money, they do have to pay that money back. So whatever they take out in that loan amount, they do have to pay back when they graduate. But this is just to show you a sample of what an award would look like. You can see up here they give students the options to accept or decline money. So a student can accept or decline, you know, whatever it is that they want to. So they don't have to accept everything. They can accept or decline. And you can see that this student actually accepted all the grant money, but they're still kind of unsure about the loan money. So just to show you an example of what it can look like if you're still thinking about whether or not you actually want to do the loan or not. You're given the option to accept or decline anything that you've been offered. And at the end of it all, my hope is that, and your hope is too, is that as you're applying to schools, I do hope that students apply to multiple schools that offer their major program. I know that sometimes students have one school in particular that they want to apply to, but I like for students to find at least 3 different schools that offer their major program, because every school is going to offer you something different. So even though you've done this FAFSA form and you filled it out, each college is going to give you a different offer based off of the funding that they have to give you. So you could apply for an amount at one school and they offer you one amount, and another school can offer you a different amount. And this is just to show you an example of a student who applied to 3 different schools. And at the very top line is what you want to focus on, is how much it costs to go to each one of these individual schools. So they were thinking about they're going to be a full-time student. They're going to be living on campus, so they have included in there their room and meal plan on there too if they were living on campus. If you weren't living on campus, that would cut the cost down a lot more. But this student was looking at it as if they were going to live on these colleges they were looking at. So that's what those amounts represent, how much it would cost for them to be full-time living on campus and to have a meal plan. So that's what that cost of attendance is. You also just want to be sure that you focus on the merit, where it has merit aid, that's when they start getting offered money, right? So each student was offered a different amount of money, and you'll see at the very bottom, or in the 3rd line from the bottom, it says the total aid that they were offered from all the schools. And you can see that total is different from each school. And that's why you want to have different colleges that you apply for, so that you can see what different offers look like, and to see how those offers compare to how much it actually costs to go to those schools. So that way you can have an informed decision and try to go to college with the least amount of debt. Like, how can I do this without having to get into a lot of debt to do that? And one of the best ways to do it is to have different options in place. So I like for students to have at least 3 to 5 colleges that offer the major program that they're thinking about, so that you can get different financial offers and compare them that way. This is kind of mostly the end of this. I do want to kind of let you know that these are some websites too that would be helpful during the process. So if you're kind of thinking about what are some good websites to go to kind of keep up to date with some of the financial things that are happening with colleges, or just to find out about scholarships or any of that, these are all going to be good websites to go to find out about that, or just to find out what assistance is available to help me to pay for school. So at this point, Kim, I'll kind of allow you to, I don't know if you want to kind of let me know about any questions from the chat. I'm trying to read them too, but to see if anybody has any questions that they wanted to ask about anything.
We had a question earlier about the NC Promise schools. If they offer that $500 tuition, do you end up having more miscellaneous fees?
Oh yeah, so it depends on, it depends on the school and kind of what kind of fees they offer through that school. There may be some schools that do have some miscellaneous fees on there that you still do have to pay for, because that $500 is just for the tuition. It doesn't all cover the fees for the school, so it could be different depending on the school and what fees they offer or they have.
Does anyone else have questions that they want to put into the chat, or we can unmute you and you can ask them to Ms. Ruffin?
Yeah, that's fine.
I like that you shared that different offers from different schools, because sometimes I know you might even get from one of the private colleges a better offer than a state school sometimes, even though the tuition is less expensive, because they do have some other forms of financing. And it looked like maybe one of those offers that you shared on that slide was maybe
Yeah.
that same option.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we like for students to have, because some of the schools that have the largest price tag may actually end up being the most affordable based off of what they offered you to go there. So yeah, absolutely keep the options open.
And I love it that we get the opportunity to look at various sourcing funds, because just like I was sharing that my niece as a seventh grader got that $20,000 scholarship, you never
Yeah.
know what might be available. So I know we have a lot of homeschool students that we're serving now at NC Virtual, and
Mhm.
some academy students and private schools. So they might not get some of the same information. So this is really good information for them to be able to make better decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it is, and it's so many different schools, you just never know. So I think I'm glad we were able to share it.
Yes, we're going to put this archive on our website and in our non-public newsletter. So this is good opportunities for our students across the state. And we're so glad that we're getting to partner with you to get this information. And I see Brittany Privet is in here, and she's coming for a session on April the 23rd. Brittany, do you have anything you want to add?
She may have already left, but I know that she was on here, and she's definitely going to be talking about admissions.
Oh, hey, there we go. Yes, great job, Timeka.
Thank
I'm
you.
really excited to talk to everybody on the 23rd, I believe, at 2 o'clock. And I'll be covering admissions and everything that goes along with that.
Yep, it's going to be great.
Does anyone else have any questions to share, or do we just need to wrap it up? I always love coming because I always learn lots of information.
Yeah, no, you probably get to learn about everything.
And, well, it's amazing how you learn new things. My son is actually a senior in college, and he's going to graduate
Yeah.
school. So that's what I've been trying to encourage him, take the best offer. But
Yes, yeah, especially when it comes to grad school, because it gets so much more limiting when it comes to scholarships and stuff like that. So, yeah, grad school can be different.
But it's great to see that we have these opportunities for our students, and we're big proponents of education, because I know personally I was a first generation college grad, so it's been a blessing.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Well, it looks like we don't have any more questions, so we'll wrap it up. Thank you, Timeka
You're
Ruffin.
welcome. Thank you, Kim.
And thanks, Brittany, for coming. And we'll see you on April the 23rd at 2 p.m. And thanks, everyone. And as always, CFNC has delivered. Have a good weekend and holiday, and we will see you later.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.